everyone, and welcome to Relationship Rhetoric. I'm your host, Unapologetically Angela. Thank you so much for sharing with me on another terrific Tuesday. This is the last Tuesday in Women's History Month, and I am excited about the woman that I am going to be interviewing today. I strategically chose women that I have just been following over a period of time and that have just made an impact on me, just how they carry themselves from not just on the post, but this woman I've actually seen her out and about. I've spoken to her. I've even been to a meeting that she had that was really life changing. And sometimes we don't take a moment to acknowledge the people who are in our community that are really creating history, creating her story just by being themselves. So I was really excited that she accepted to just have an opportunity to chat. I also have found out about myself that I love people who study, study the Bible, study different types of texts, study people, study religion, study ways of thought, and use those things to be able to have a better connection with humans and how we function and how we think, and connecting it to a spiritual path. And this is how I see Reverend Edith Love. Her posts are always, so to me, so heartfelt. You can actually feel her emotions when she speaks. And I don't know if that's me being empath, but it's just when I read something or hear her speak or even hear her voice, it has a way of actually altering a mood. So I just think that she's someone that I would like to introduce to those that do not know her and reintroduce her to those who may. So, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you our last honoree for Women's History Month, Reverend Edith A. Love. Hello.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining me. I just want to chat with you, get a little info about who you are and how you ended up on the path that you're on now. So, are you from Memphis?
Yeah, I was born here.
Oh,
Been
wow.
here almost the whole time. I moved away a little bit as a teenager and came back at 21. So
Oh, wow. Okay. And what part of Memphis did you grow up in?
I grew up one block off of Brooks and South Third.
Wow. Okay. Okay, nice. What kind of student do you feel like you were growing up?
Well, I now believe that I have ADHD and always did. So as a student, I was a gifted child. I was in the gifted classes, and I heard a lot of, she's always daydreaming. Her head's always in the clouds. I now know that's probably what that was. So, school was at first easy until junior high and math class.
Mhm.
And then it got really hard because my brain didn't work the way it needed to for that.
Okay. Okay. So you're more of an English grammar.
Uh, I read early and often and still do. I was an avid, voracious reader, but things like math just it didn't come easily and
Okay.
still doesn't.
Okay. So what was the plan or what was your path after you graduated high school?
I didn't graduate high school. I got a GED.
Oh,
I went to college for let's see, a couple of years, and then I foolishly got married at the age of 21
mm,
and started cranking out babies.
wow.
So
Gotcha.
I was a stay-at-home mom of 4 until I got divorced in my 30s, and then I dated a little bit and got married again. And I have been a mom or student most of my life.
Wow. Okay. So if you don't mind me asking, what was the circumstance that you actually didn't walk across the stage for graduation for high school?
Oh, I was in a really bad car accident, and if you looked really close, you would see a big scar here and a scar here and one that goes down towards my eye. I broke a windshield with my face. I don't recommend it. And then I got mononucleosis, which just took me completely out.
Wow. And you got mononucleosis while healing from the car wreck? Wow. Okay. Okay.
And
Okay.
so then I worked in a factory, waited tables for $2.13 an hour, and went to college and then met somebody and got married.
Okay. All right.
So
Okay. So Ford, All boys, two girls, three?
I have 5 children. As a matter of
Right.
fact, I had 4 from that first marriage and 1 from my second marriage. And so I thought that I had 2 girls and 2 boys. I now know that I have 5 daughters because 2 of my kids are trans.
Oh, nice. Okay. And oh, I just have to say, I think you're the perfect mom for that transition.
Oh, thanks.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So if you don't mind, can we talk about that just a hair?
Let's ask one of them.
Oh,
Oh, you're not online?
I am on live and they're asking about transgender. Do you want to talk?
love to put people on the top.
I warned you not to come in the front door while I was doing this.
Oh,
So this is my friend Angela.
hi. How are you?
I'm good.
How was your mom during your transition? How would you describe that period of life?
She got confused when I started socially transitioning and thought I was non-binary for a while.
Okay.
For some reason, I don't know how that happened, but you know, she was a little scared to ask, and she's gotten a lot better at that.
Okay.
But
Okay.
she's been very supportive. Not of my new name because I named myself after the cat. But
The current cat you have?
mhm,
Can I ask what the name is?
Phoebe.
Okay. You are so funny. Okay, great. Great. Because what the question was, how was that process for her? And you just so happened to walk through the door. Perfect timing. Perfect timing. Thank you so much for sharing.
Of course. Okay, I'll use the back door.
Oh, wow. Okay. So let's see. What pronoun does
She, her for both of my trans girls. So I just have 5 daughters.
Okay. So is she the oldest?
No, that's my 4th child.
That's your 4th child.
So
Okay.
my kids right now are 26, 22, although she turns 23 at the end of this week, 20, 18, and 6.
Okay. Okay. So how old is she that just left?
18.
She's 18. So you think by the time that happened, you were, I don't want to say prepared, but a little more equipped since your oldest child had already gone through the process?
Yeah, it is my it's 3rd and 4th that are the trans girls. Yeah, I think it helped having done it before, but nobody's ever prepared for your offspring to say, hey, you know that thing you thought I was, you were wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a minute of adjustment.
Mhm.
And it's an opportunity, because if your child trusts you enough to say, hey, there's this thing about me that you didn't know, it's a privilege and an honor, and it's an opportunity to love them exactly as they are.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, I do know some people who are actually, dealing with the transition of their child as well. Did you go through that process alone? Did you seek therapy, your church group, or you just toughed it out?
I guess it was just me. Yeah, I didn't have a therapist. I didn't have a church. Yeah, good point. No, there was a support group for parents of trans kids that I attended a few times, which was really helpful.
Okay. Okay. Nice. Okay. That's good to hear. So at this point, were you Reverend Edith?
I was officially ordained 3 years ago, and that path started in 2001 when I felt that God called me. And then I had to get my undergraduate degree, which took me another 5 years. And then my seminary degree, which took another 6 years. And then having to go through all the other hoops that my denomination requires. So I finally was ordained in 2019.
Wow. Okay. Now, I didn't know that. I thought you've been Reverend Edie as long as I've known you. Very nice. Okay. Do you mind sharing your denomination?
I am Unitarian Universalist.
Unitarian Universalist. Can you kind of explain what that is?
Well, we got a website, uua.org.
UUA.
I think the shorthand version of explaining it is that we have a set of principles that we can all agree to. And beyond that, we focus on love and justice, and we love to debate.
Okay. Debate anything.
Well, yeah, things that are related to world events, what's right, what's wrong, what's best for society. Yeah, I think the Jews have a history of loving to argue with God and wrestle with God, and I would argue that we wrestle with life.
Oh, wow. Nice. Okay. So how has that path been? No, well, let me back up. At what point or what was the experience when you felt like God called you to be a reverend?
I was sitting in the back of a Unitarian Universalist church, and I had just given birth to my third child, the one that we were just talking about. Excuse me, there's something right there. I had just given birth, and I felt this inner like pull, this like voice or inner knowing, like calling me to the front of the church. And I thought it was weird. And I thought, I just had a baby. It's hormones. Something's out of whack. And then it happened again the next week. And I was like, okay, this is too strange. And so I spoke to the minister in the receiving line, and she said, well, I'll come talk to you if you want. And she came to my house, and I told her what had happened. And she said, it sounds like you're being called to ministry. I said, how is that possible? I have 3 children. One of them is a newborn. I have a GED. And she said, if your call is real, and I think it is, you'll find your way.
Wow. Okay. And what year was this?
2001.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So was that one of those issues where you felt like you were wrestling with life? Did you fall into it then, or did you fight?
Oh, no, I held off for quite a while thinking this is crazy. It could never work. It's not possible. And I started college in 2006. So it took me another 5 years to get to that point.
Okay. Okay. And so at this point, you're already divorced?
I got divorced in 2005.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So what is your undergraduate in?
I did the Design Your Own Degree program at the U of M, and I called it Social and Racial Justice. So I combined philosophy, sociology, religion, and art.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
It means I took lots and lots of classes.
Because you needed to have some in all of those disciplines, correct?
Right.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
Because I felt like my calling was to make the world a better place. Somehow it was vague at that point. And in my seminary studies, my focus became a whole lot more about direct action, about activism, about justice-based study and praxis.
Okay. So do you feel like most people who fight for justice find out or seem to say that their lives get a little more difficult because you are, very vigilant and, find it necessary to actually be active in that? Do you think the situation, the wrestling with life got worse once you took the calling or before?
Oh, yeah. The thing about being a community minister, which is different than a parish minister, there's a church that pays you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Community ministry, you're on your own.
Mm-hmm.
You might find an institution that wants to hire you, or you might not. And so in my case, I have been working a variety of part-time or odd jobs for the last several years and not really finding a place in the world of nonprofits or real jobs, so to speak. So it's been a difficult journey. I can't say that I recommend it. And I can't see myself doing anything else.
That was my next question. Okay. Okay. So doing the part-time jobs and the odd jobs and things of that nature, you're still able to sustain?
I am not making enough at this point, but I'm working on it.
Okay. Okay. But the work is fulfilling.
It is. So right now I've got guest preaching, weddings, pastoral counseling, premarital counseling, couples counseling, singles counseling, uncluttering for people, which I consider to be a kind of grief counseling. And I'm also doing things like hanging pictures and drapes for older ladies who don't trust a handyman.
Yeah, nice. Nice. Okay. That's beautiful. So do you see yourself, I don't want to use the word practice because you're not necessarily a doctor, but do you see yourself having your own, or do you consider yourself having your own ministry?
Yeah, this is ministry, every bit of it. I consider myself self-employed at this point in my life. And the thing that you discover in this work is that whatever you're doing with anybody that you meet, whether that's an unhoused person that you're friends with down the street or somebody that you're in their home helping them with a problem, you always see echoes of your own struggles in the other person. So, for example, I was working with a lady on her office last week, and she said, I really need to clear all this stuff out. And the hardest thing for her to let go of was a stack of papers that had to do with her career. She said, I need to throw this away. And then she tried to thumb through it. And then she's like, no, I need to throw it away. And it was like it was stuck to her hands because the emotion that was present in her, all of the stuff that she'd gone through with this career, she felt it right there in between her two hands. My friend that's unhoused that I see on a bicycle all the time, and you might know him if you're a Midtowner, he will shout at me, I see the little girl in you. I see the child in you. Keep that child alive. Every bit of what I do in this, you see yourself reflected in the people around you. And I would say it's a magical gift and an honor and a privilege every time. Wow. Even and especially when it's hard.
Yeah. Yeah. So with that being said, has it always been easy for you to, I guess, help people unclutter and so forth without reflecting? Well, I don't want to say reflecting, but injecting what's going on in your life. How did you balance that out?
Well, that's part of the training that we go through, is to try to understand what's going on inside of yourself so you don't let it affect what you're doing with the other person. And it's a constant process, and I'd say nobody's ever done. But of course, some of us have worked harder on it than others, perhaps. But you want to be aware of what's going on inside of yourself. Okay, this is triggering me because I had a difficult relationship with my mom around this one issue. And so I'm going to try hard not to make it affect how I interact with this individual in front of me. It's something that you need to be conscious of so that you don't overstep boundaries, hurt somebody, etc.
Yeah. Okay. Did you find that difficult for you?
Of course. So I don't know if this was mentioned, but of course I am a queer person.
Okay.
I was doing my first unit of CPE, which is clinical pastoral education. It's chaplain training in a hospital. And I was on a night shift, and I went to see someone in the heart floor of the hospital. And he was going on and on about how the president had destroyed the country, and they've taken prayer out of schools, and we're all going to hell in a handbasket because of it. And the gays have ruined society. And he just goes on and on and on. And also talking about the pain of his daughter's rejection. Something going on with his wife he was upset. And I listened to him, and I empathized, and I was able to be present and hold space for him while he grieved the health problems he was going through. We prayed together, and I said, thank you, sir. I hope you have a good night. And he gave me a donation for the chaplain's office in a little envelope. I took it from him, and I thanked him. I left the room. I got down the hallway, and I kind of fell against the corner clutching my stomach because I held it together through what surprised me. I was amazed at how I did that, because as a queer person, we get that stuff all the time. Yeah. And it's not fun. But I was able to be aware of what was going on inside of me, keep it from affecting, I hope, what was going on with him, and be supportive of him in a hard time in his life. And no, it wasn't easy. Not at all.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's so very interesting, because he had all of this to spew out and had no clue Had
But
no clue. Wow. Wow. Okay. Okay. Um, so as far as now, this is a question because it's off the subject, but it's on the subject. Do you feel like you being queer had any effect on your children's decision as far as
hmm,
transitioning?
I don't think so. I think this is something that's been inside of them since the very beginning of their lives. And I don't want to violate their privacy by telling stories about them, but there were clues from the time that they were very tiny
Okay.
that I just set aside. Oh, that's
Yeah.
just my kid. They're just sweet that way. They're just different that way. It never occurred to me that they were transgender.
Wow.
They were
Okay.
just my children and I loved them and they were unique and special and wonderful and quirky, right? A
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
I hope that I at least set a good example in accepting yourself as different.
Right. Right. Okay. So, we have a tendency because you made a very good point about queer and gay people and everybody else getting these emotions about, changing the world and causing an uproar and things of that nature. Has you being different, not even just associated with that, caused you any turmoil emotionally throughout your life? I mean, I'm speaking because I know it has for me.
Right.
I know it has for me.
So, I began to actually wonder if there was something different about me when I was about 9.
Okay.
And I remember hearing my parents say that gay people were strange, weird, not normal. And as best I could, I just put it out of my head. As many not straight people do, fell in love with my best friend at 18. And it never went any further than a kiss on the forehead and holding hands. Because I wouldn't let it, because
Mhm.
I felt like what I was doing was wrong. And the reality is, a lot of us are not straight. And a lot of
Mm.
us that say we're straight are not completely straight.
Mhm.
It's
Wow.
just the way that it is. Yeah, I think I've always been who I am. It's just been a process of learning more and more to accept it.
Okay. Okay. So I also know quite a few people who are struggling with that exact thing that you're talking about. Do you find yourself providing counseling or talking to people who are really trying to transition smoothly?
Yeah, so I have actually been incredibly honored and blessed to be the person that some people have reached out to when they're struggling with their sexual orientation, their gender, the desires that they have that they feel are forbidden or shameful. People who are really scared that they're quote unquote not normal. The thing is, normal is highly overrated. And normal is kind of a myth,
It is.
you
It-
know? And so I am really fortunate and lucky to be someone that people trust enough to share their stories with.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay. Because I really want to, and I don't, I mean, if it's okay with you, be able to say, hey, I know someone you can talk to,
Mhm.
that could really identify with what you're dealing with because it's very serious. We're losing lives because people don't know how, or they feel alone in processing what they're dealing with. And
Yeah.
that breaks my heart.
They feel alone, they feel rejected, they may have been rejected by their families, and quite frankly, they may have been rejected by their churches. Got a
Mm,
lot of religious trauma among the LGBTQ plus community. And when I say religious trauma, I mean a pastor telling a young kid, you're going to hell for that.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I call that abuse. I don't think that's okay. And I know there are people that disagree with me, and that's all right. They're welcome to their opinion. But when it hurts somebody, I think that's where it crosses a line.
Right. Right. And again, that's to me, that's not something a child, a young person that's already struggling can process. You
Right.
know, That's crazy. Okay. Yes. Well, that's really good to hear because again, there is a need for people like you that have the soft spirit to be able to hear them and let their voice be heard. So that's wonderful. Um, so where do you see yourself in, let's go short term, the next 2 years?
Well, I'm going to backtrack ever so slightly.
Okay.
I had a relationship end suddenly and unexpectedly due to irreconcilable differences. And that was right at 2 years ago.
Wow.
And the thing that has saved me for the past 2 years of pandemic and unexpected breakup has been the kink community. I have been welcomed with open arms into that community. And I have been someone that has been granted access and trust to a lot of people who were struggling with, does God hate me because of what I want to do? Is it okay? Is there something wrong with me? And so I really do think that part of my path going forward is ministering to people whom society shames
Mm,
what they want to do, who they want to do with, how they want to love, things that they want to do between consenting adults that make each other happy, and also that they're worried is going to get them into trouble with fill in the blank.
mm. Wow. Wow, that's powerful. And again, a need, a need because again, we're in this box, and anything outside of what we were taught causes shame.
Really terrible feelings of guilt and sadness and fear and worry and anxiety. Yes, and so much shame. And it doesn't have to be that way.
Wow.
If a whole bunch of people are doing it, or
Something.
almost all the people are doing it,
Uh-huh.
is it really not normal?
Uh-huh.
Is it?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And it's some people probably doing it and just not sharing that they're doing it.
And
Wow.
feeling all of those negative emotions around something that I would argue God gave us bodies for a reason. God gave us bodies to have fun with and to have fun with other people with, within the boundaries of love, connection, understanding, communication, consent. Consent is a big one.
Yeah.
All of that.
Yeah.
I think God gave us bodies for a reason. And if we don't enjoy these bodies, that's the sin.
Wow. Wow. Oh, that was powerful.
Oh, thanks.
I mean, because again, very few people are fighting for those type of issues. You know, it's so easy to point your finger and make people feel shame, and then they leave and you give them nothing to handle that with. You know, and shame is heavy.
Very much so.
It's very heavy, and then you suppress yourself. Now you're angry. And, yeah. So, wow.
And then where do you take those feelings? Do you take them into addiction? Do you take them into like abusing yourself or other people? Where do you go with all of that?
Wow. Wow. Well, there is definitely a need. Oh, that's exciting. That's
Thank
exciting.
you.
Very much so. That might be your thing. That's I feel that really taking you somewhere. Very nice. Very nice. And I think that's beautiful. That's beautiful that the kink community, did you stumble upon them or did they stumble upon you?
So it was something when you asked about when did I know I was different, I also had thoughts and feelings that confused me, that made me feel shame. And I did not actually begin to explore those until my last relationship ended. So it was after that person moved out that I entered the community for real. And I've been there ever since.
Nice. Nice. And it again, what I am finding out, the people that I find extremely interesting are taking, I don't know, I can't think of the word, but not a traditional way of healing. You know, those type of major traumatic situations really push you to seek healing for what's best for you,
Right.
whatever that looks like. So that's really nice. That's really
Yeah.
nice. Okay. And I'm so excited because I know so many people who, again, are looking for ways to heal that is not just
Right.
sitting at somebody's desk for hours talking.
Yeah. I think there is a lot of potential for non-standard ways of healing in this world. And this is one of the paths that some people take.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Well, I would like for you, if you would, this is my last thing. If you, well, I think I have two. The first thing would be, if you would, just from where you are, how the spirit is feeling around you, and the state of the world at where we are, what advice or what encouragement would you give someone who is unsettled right now or needs some comfort just where they are?
Things seem really bad right now, right? We've had a pandemic for a couple of years and it's an open-ended disaster. Nobody knows when it's going to be over. Nobody knows when we'll be back to normal or what normal may ever be. Maybe this is normal from here on out. We just don't know. And I think that adds to people's stress and anxiety, just the open-endedness of it. And there's a war going on. There have been wars going on. They haven't perhaps grabbed the headlines the way that this one has, but it's a scary time. Climate change, political stuff, evil people in legislature passing laws to try to suppress people, voter suppression. Like we've got nasty things happening. And there's still good in the world. There's still people fighting to make it a better place. There's still, like Fred Rogers' mom said, look for the people that are the helpers. There's still helpers. There is lots and lots of space to have hope that things are going to get better, and it's not always going to feel this way.
Nice. Nice. There's space for hope. I love that. And the last thing, and, and it'll be interesting, but I really want to know, if you, either a song or a book title, the last 2 years of your life, what would you get it?
So, in my journey into healing, I met a lovely young person uh, who has surprised me with showers of attention and joy and magic and goodness. And so, if there was a book written about the last 2 years of my life, it would be The Accidental Cougar.
Oh, I like that. Write that down. That's beautiful. Beautiful. Reverend Edie, thank you so much for sharing. I meant what I said, having conversations. Do you remember the first little group thing we had together? That was the very first time I had ever done anything of that nature.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that was a while ago.
That was a very, very long time ago. But that was so impactful because I'd never seen women get together and just literally derobe internally and externally like that before. It was amazing. It
Oh,
was
thank you.
amazing. So when you say there is space for hope and looking for the helpers, I want you to know, I know you may know this, but you are one of those people.
Oh,
I may not see you often or hear from you, but when you speak a word, I take heed. I
thank
take heed.
you.
So,
That's incredibly kind and so wonderful for you to say. Thank you so much.
yes, ma'am. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for letting us peek into your world, and keep making her story, because you are. I cannot wait.
Thank
I cannot
you.
wait. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Love on the children for me, and I hope to see you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you for inviting me. It's been a real joy and a pleasure and an honor to speak with you.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a wonderful Tuesday.
Have a wonderful evening and
Thank you.
thank you again.
Yes, ma'am.
Good
Bye.
night.
Good night. What a refreshing way to in Women's History Month. Um, being honest, we as women carry so much, wear so many hats, but those of us that are the helpers, those of us that are the lovers, those of us that are the fighters, still find space for hope, still find space for love, still find space for others. Because, think about what the world would be like. It's already rough, but with no hope, with no people willing to encourage love and encourage looking at things from another direction, encourage people to lift that veil of shame and guilt off of their lives. We have enough of that from external situations. So to have people like Reverend Edith to just be on the planet to provide space for those who need her, I'm truly grateful that I met her. I really am. The most impactful thing that she said to me was when she was, offering prayer for the gentleman who was dying. Spirit recognizes spirit, so we put all these other things, asking all these unnecessary questions. But when the spirit comes to bring you peace, to bring you reconciliation, to bring you whatever you're needing, I'm going to step out on faith and say, you would be a fool not to receive it, because you have no idea what package your gift is going to come in. So I hope that you heard that. I hope that you received that, because there are some beautiful angels walking around here. And I hope that you are open to receiving what it is that you need to receive in this life. So thank you so much for joining me. This has been an amazing month. And before I go, because by the time you see me again, this will have passed. Happy birthday, Mom. My mom is turning 70 years old on Friday. I am wowed, and I am so grateful that she's been allowed to walk this planet for 70 years. So, Mom, I love you. 70 years, and I'm going to go ahead and give you 50 more. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me. Have a wonderful week, and I hope to see you again next Tuesday. Peace, love, and create some space for hope. You have no idea who may need it. I'll see you soon.